Hello, and welcome to episode 4 of Janthopodcast. Please make yourself comfortable. Make yourself at home in your own home, assuming you're at home. But wherever you are, comfort is important. As per usual, it's highly recommended that you do your time correctly and go back and listen to the other episodes first. Otherwise, this is not going to make much sense if you come in now. I wouldn't even know why you did that. But we're going to move on as fast as we can because each book is a little more complicated to explain and just lengthy to do. So I'm nervous about how well I'm going to be able to express this, but I'm going to give it a go. So first of all, this episode is about Book 3, The Bridge of Receivings. What's cool about the Janthopoyism scripture is that the 6 core books are kind of grouped in 3 groups. Books 1 and 2 are one group, and they kind of deal with the duality of the external and the internal, as by their names. The external universe, the internal universe. The one is everything beyond yourself, extending all the way to the infinities of the cosmos, the universal energy, and the God questions, and the life questions, and the death questions, and etc. Then Book 2 was kind of bringing it more to yourself, and what does it mean, and how do I fit into that, and what is the meaning of it all, and, that type of more personalized and a lot more useful and applicable kind of stuff. And each of these books follow a similar pattern. So Book 3 and Book 4 are their own little huggy groupie of love. Book 3 is the Bridge of Receivings. Book 4 is the Bridge of Offerings. Again, we're dealing with an external and an internal. The bridge of what the bridge is, and it's kind of an analogy that I don't like. There's nothing really better that I could think of, but it's kind of like a two-way highway of information. Information going out of you and information going into you. Stuff from the internal universe, your stuff that you put out into the external universe, as well as the external universe putting stuff into you, stuff that happens to you, and just a whole bunch of stuff that we're going to go into right now. So, and that pretty much covers everything that you could possibly imagine. Yourself, everything beyond yourself, and the communication between these two separated ideas. So Book 3 is focused on the receiving end of this. It's what the universe sends to you via the bridge going into you. Let's just get to it, shall we? So chapter 3.1, you are watching a movie that is watching you. Now, why would we say something like that? Well, the movie idea has a twofold type of representation. The first is we're trying to portray how life is, as you view it, is mostly from a point of observation. It's you kind of watching it happen for the most part. Now, obviously there's you can do stuff, and that's something we're going to go into massively, especially in the next book. But even when you do something, let's say you decide to throw a stone really hard from your window, you've done that now and you've interacted with the movie. But what happens after that is kind of out of your control. Multiple things could happen. You could try to predict it, you might predict it correctly, you might very well predict it incorrectly. And you'll never know for certain what's going to happen, because you are essentially watching it, even when you put something out there. And even when people are in positions of extreme power, you will see that they can make huge decisions that alter the history of humanity. But it's not that they just they just did an action. But what always occurred afterwards, and the consequences of which were never exactly what they predicted. And generally, they would have to. You have to just kind of see what happens. And I don't think there's ever been a point in history, irrespective of whether it's the President of the United States or whether it's you, that you done something and what happened was 100% exactly how you predicted it, down to the most minute specifics. It's always just going to be us essentially watching what happens whether we get involved or not. The second reason why the film is a good analogy is because we're going to keep banging on about how the external universe, should be viewed as one thing. It's not. There's no point in kind of separating this person and that event and these circumstances. It's much better to kind of go, okay, this is one thing that I'm viewing. It's one singular organism that I'm a part of, but I have my own little section of it that I can kind of have some sort of influence over. But beyond that, it's all just a system that's evolved into systems of biology and systems of ecology and systems of planetary and universal and all those going up and up and up and up. But also that's something that we've discussed before, and it's something that we're going to be discussing further. But what matters is that every now and again, this film, which is initiating conflict in order to evolve, is going to turn its attention towards you. That's how we say you're watching a movie that is watching you, because every now and again it's going to go, I need you to answer this question. And how it asks these questions is by delivering conflict into your path, and interrupting your plans is kind of one way of putting it, because this can be good things and it can be bad things. It can be you accidentally fall out of bed and hit your head, or it could be that someone calls you on your phone that you haven't spoken to for a long time, and it's like kind of a conflict. You know what I mean? One's nice conflict and one's bad conflict, but they're both kind of interrupting your flow to get your specific brand of thought process into the evolutionary database. So this comes to you by cosmic order, we say. It's always going to happen. It's part of the system. Conflict will come to you. But to put a blame on it is what we're trying to get away from with this chapter and chapters moving forward. To say, oh, Jenny spilled coffee on me, or my Wi-Fi went down, this internet service provider is the worst. These kind of things it's to play the blame game like that and separate the universe into these pockets of different components is actually not beneficial. It's much better to view it as one singular entity, because that's the pantheistic view, and then deal it from that way, saying, okay, fine, I see, the universe delivered it through Jenny, or delivered it through my internet service provider. Doesn't matter how it came to me. It's now going, here's a question, how are you going to deal with it? And you can be crushed by it, or you can try solve it and achieve harmony. Either which way, you're answering the question. So that's what we're talking about when we talk about the bridge of receiving. It's about the universe going, you, and sending conflict directly into your person, and you're going to deal with this, and it just smashes into you, and it's like, oh no, I had other plans, but this has kind of knocked me in my plans in a different direction. And no matter what you do, though, anything you do, it's gonna be fine. It's the universe doesn't actually care about anything. It just cares about answers coming. So if it delivers something to you and that kills you, we on a personal level go, that's really sad, it's a tragedy, we see that kind of thing all the time, it hurts us to see that. But from a universal perspective, the entire world could implode, because we're talking about an infinite energy here. And it's just looking to evolve, and it's just looking to use that data to further itself and to bring about more change and to learn. And so that literally means nothing to it. It's just, okay, learned that. I can use that information. It reached that natural point. Now we keep going. And, everyone will die at some point. But that's so sad to look at it that way. So what we've got to also remember, though, is that you are part of this system, and there's this external universe, but there's also this internal universe. That's kind of your energy. It's what you have. It's your little piece of God. And that piece does care about you. It does want you to survive, and it does want you to thrive, because that's what benefits its evolution, and that will contribute. The longer you can live, and the more of an exciting life you can live, obviously that benefits the overall system much greater than someone who kind of just has a really sad life and doesn't do anything. Even though it both contributes, and both of these kind of examples are important and will always exist, from you just focus on your personal self, the better life you can live, and the closer in tune with your emotions you can be, the more beneficial and your productivity is going to be, and the further along you can push evolution from yourself. So that's kind of just what this entire chapter here was just introducing the book, kind of by saying, look, it's largely out of your control, but view the whole thing as one organism, but recognize that you have a little bit of this organism in you. You are a piece of it. You've evolved into this position where you can have a little bit of say in your little place, and within that place you have the power to get your brain to a point where you realize that it's not about so and so doing this to you, or this circumstance doing that to you, making you feel shit. It's about your mind going, I can feel how I want about this. I can nothing can make me suffer but my mind. That's what the Greek Stoics taught. And then it's about saying, okay, look, if I just view this all as one thing, and everything that happens to me viewed on a position of divinity, that the universe is coming and asking me questions, delivered via these other circumstances, sure, but it's still the same energy coming and asking me questions. Then it starts to become, okay, well, how do I collaborate with this? How do I kind of not be caught off guard by it, kind of anticipate that these things are going to happen to me, and they're good things to happen because the conflict itself has evolutionary benefit. And the more you can kind of get into that flow, the more you can let go of how your brain is giving you conditioned responses, and you can start focusing on the actual energy side of yourself, the emotional side, the intuitional side, and making decisions based on that position. And the more you can do that, the more automated that will become. How your brain starts to go, some conflict will be delivered down the bridge of receivings, and instead of your brain going, freak out, or I know what to do because this happened last time, or I hate that woman so much, or something like that, the brain instead goes, hang on, I remember my training, how does this feel on an emotional level, and let's follow it energetically. And that's kind of what we're going to be going through as we go on. Chapter 3.2, Ideas are Gifts from the Gods. Now, so as we discussed, this got this bridge of receivings, and conflict is going to rush down, and it's going to interrupt your life, and it's going to demand you answer a question, and it's going to see how you do it. How does this specific brain answer this question? It's like an experiment. The whole universe is an experiment to learn, to answer questions, to better evolve further. So that's one of the ways that we talk about this communication between these two different universes, the one inside of you and the one outside of you. But there's probably many, but one of the ones we are going to discuss here is about ideas. Now, in book 1 we talked about this universal mind or universal consciousness that Carl Jung was kind of coined, and it's all about how everything that ever has happened, or even everything you've ever done, gets recorded into this giant database. Kind of, as an analogy, and it uses this information to continuously make better decisions in the evolution and the growth of each generation through every single species throughout the universe, all collective information, just to continuously evolve better. So one of the ways it also evolves this information is via thoughts. Because thoughts are we always think about conflict or whatever as something that happens in your reality, but we also have to realize that thoughts are also a big part of this, and thoughts need to develop, and they develop inside minds. Maybe they aren't as visible, but they definitely exist. So the theory, and it's kind of metaphorical, but we believe this illustrates what we're trying to say best, is that there's all this information, the collective of all information, but it's always trying to evolve and learn more. And so when it has a certain idea or a thought, and it needs to develop that, how it will do that is it will quickly assess. Maybe not, it doesn't have to be a conscious assessment, it could just be like a program equation, or it could be some kind of an overarching deity being thing, who's to say. But either which way, it locates the best mind for the job, puts the thought in the mind. That mind will develop it a little bit, and then the thought will leave and be placed into someone else's head, who then can add their little bit onto it. Because every mind is so unique. The fingerprints of our mind are infinitely unique. So every thought, no matter who has it, is going to add something to it. And so these ideas that are being passed from mind to mind to mind are growing and growing and growing and growing. And this could be happening infinite amount of minds. Each thought could be being worked on by countless minds within split seconds. Who's to say? But in an infinite universe that is not constrained by time or distance, the theory is that it legitimately could be one thought could be being worked on by multiple minds, even though they have no idea that's even happening. And this is legitimately the universal energy directly communicating with you, and this happens to you all the time. It happens to everyone all the time. Now, there's so many different types of ideas. Sometimes you'll get an idea like, oh, I need to phone someone. I need to speak to so-and-so about that thing. That seems like a very small thing, and it's a very personal thing, but it does. That will help you on your path, and that does help evolution. Oh, I should try adding salt to that dish I like. Yeah, there we go. Even though that seems like a small idea, it's still an idea. And it's like, you've got to try that. You've got to look at it as a gift. And sometimes you'll get an idea like, oh my gosh, I have an idea that could make me millions, or could save lives. People have those ideas all the time, so you just never know. But you've got to treat these ideas as they are, which is gifts. Any person who's artistically inclined, or even someone who's very business orientated and entrepreneurial, understand this. You get this, it's inspiration, suddenly out of nowhere, this thing just pops into your head, and it's like, what? It's just amazing. You're like, that's a brilliant idea. And it's like it doesn't seem like it came from you. It really just pops into your head. You can be thinking about something completely different, and then And so I think there's been lots written about how that seems like a cosmic order rather than just a train of thought. And that's what Janthopoyism teaches is exactly the case. A flash of divinity. So there's many types of ideas that you're going to get. But the scripture just speaks of three, which we believe covers the majority of them, if not all of them. Now, the first thing is you're going to get weird thoughts all the time. Like, the brain's just running along anyway, just thinking stupid stuff. But every now and again, you'll get a silly thought, you go, and you'll think about something, oh, imagine that, or, oh, I never thought about that. And that was literally just you giving a little bit of a tweak to something. You'll never know what you did, or even what your role was, or even what the outcome was supposed to be. But the universe is like, get that input there, and you go, ooh, put a little tweak there, and then it takes it, puts it to someone else. Majority of ideas and thoughts will be that, and you probably wouldn't even remember that you had them, but you were still part of that chain. Then you get the ones that are more mid-range. These are like when you get like a really good idea, like, oh, why don't they have that already? Or like, oh my gosh, like, you know what that person should do, or like that business should do? They should do that. Why haven't they done that? Little do you know that that's been a thought that's been running for a while, and now it's come to you, and it's gone, quickly give us your input, what do you think of this? And so you add your little bits, and you go, oh, that would be cool if they did that, and they should do this, and it's like, okay, thank you, you've added to the thought, and then the thought moves to the next person. And often and we've all seen this happen, and you've probably even done this yourself, is that eventually that thing, it does appear. And you go, I had that idea first, that was my idea. Or, you know, I should have said something, I should have done something, I could have been a multi-millionaire by now. But the truth is, you know, you hear that should have been mine, that was my idea. It's like, no, it wasn't your idea, you were just a piece of the kind of pass the parcel. And someone had the idea before you, many people did, and it came to you, you did something, and you can remain quite proud of yourself that on the final product, when it's executed, whatever it may be, you actually are in that somewhere. Something you did changed that. But it was never yours. It was just the universe was just borrowing the special mind that you have, that it developed through you, that you evolved to have, to answer that question, get a little bit of some clarifications, and then moved it on. And yeah, you can feel good about that, but yeah, don't ever feel like that was my idea. That's not how ideas work. Your skull is not a fortress. Ideas and brainwaves are vibrations. They don't. It's energy. It can move through walls, believe it or not. But then there's the higher stage, and this is really what we're talking about. What we're really getting to is the highest stage. That's when you get one, when you know this is a good idea and I can do this, I can get this thing done. That's the kind of gift that if you ignore it, we consider that in Janthopoyism terms a high order of blasphemy. And so many people do that. They go, oh no, I don't have the time for that, or no, I my husband would never let me do that, or oh no, it's probably a silly idea anyway, I'll probably get rejected. If you do that, then it's going to move on to someone else, and someone else is going to do it, and then who knows what they will get out of that could have been, was maybe even meant for you in a way, even though it probably doesn't necessarily work like that. But what it does work like is that anything that you can execute, when you get an idea that you can bring to life, that is going to be so unique to you, because every brain is different. So if it moves on to someone else and then they execute it, it's going to be a bit different than if you had executed it. And by not executing it when you could have, that specific thing will never exist. It could have existed if you'd just done it, but now, because you didn't do it, it will never ever exist. That is blasphemy in terms of Janthopoyism. You were given something, you could have done something, it would have been your thing, that was what you intended to do, and then you didn't. So Janthopoyism is really trying to kind of train your brains to not let this happen. Because there's a big theory in Janthopoyism that we're going to get into much later, which is a bit deeper and questionable. But it's that if you kind of reject ideas like this and other things, there might be a part of the source code program, or maybe some kind of overseeing supreme being, if you are so inclined, who then starts to go, this brain doesn't execute the ideas that we give them. Then you earn that kind of reputation. Don't give them ideas that they're supposed to execute. That's a theory, but it's a good theory, and even if you don't buy into that theory, it's a good way to look at it, because it does once again reinforce this notion that ideas are divinity, and they need to be treated as such. Otherwise, you don't deserve them, basically. So, yeah, so the thing is, though, sometimes you will get these ideas and you'll execute them, or you'll try it and it just won't work. You just eventually turns out you can't do it. But you still, that's amazing. You still contributed to the development of it. So, and it still helped the evolution. Maybe it wasn't quite for you. Maybe you were supposed to get it just right up to the edge and someone else is going to take it. If that happens, you got to just keep in mind the whole beauty of the system, and maybe intentionally try to pass it on to someone if you can. If you know someone who's better at executing it than you will be, give it to them, because in that way, then they'll always know that you had something to do with it, and if credit is important to you, there's more like chance you get credit there, rather than going, oh, I can't do it, but I'm not going to tell anyone, because someone will do it eventually, whatever it is you're trying to do, and then you'll never have your name attached to it, which shouldn't matter, but we are humans and we do like recognition, don't we? Sometimes you'll do these ideas and then things go completely wrong. This does happen too. Again, we discussed this in the last book about how things go wrong, but they grant you keys. It's really more about saying, okay, look, this failed, quote unquote failed. Now, but I know that. Other people don't know that yet. I've uncovered all this pathway, and I reached a dead end. But other people haven't reached that dead end. So what can I? Now that I'm from this position, how can I move this into another space of benefit, or another space where I can evolve this into a different direction? Because you still have something, you've still learned something, you've still contributed. But the point is that when you get an idea and it starts to consume your attention, and you'll know it's meant for you when you get that snowball feeling, when you go, ooh, that's an idea, ooh, and that, maybe I do that, and I can do that, and then, ooh, maybe there's that, and I can speak to that person, and then I remember that last thing I did last time, I can put that into that. It just becomes this thing, and it starts to consume you. And it's exciting, and it's like maybe a little bit nerve-wracking, but it's just so you, and it's like it's staying in your predefined morals. That, in Janthopoyism terms, is enlightenment. It's about going, hey, universal energy and me as one, working together, collaborating. Let's do this. Let's have the ride of our lives. This is filling me with enthusiasm and inspiration. And it's almost like the outcome is irrelevant, because this is it. This is so much fun. I'm so excited. Every morning I think about it. Every night I think about it. I'm working and working and working it. My brain is like on fire. That is when you know this idea is for you. Do not waste that stuff, man, because that's the magic stuff. Chapter 3.3: Accessing the Universal Mind. The first round when I wrote the scripture, this chapter was abysmal. It was a mess. It was wrong. I knew it was wrong in my energy, but I went against the own teachings of Janthopodism. I was writing it while going against it. It makes no sense. But I'm so glad I've been able to kind of reevaluate it, and now it's much better than it was. And it's speaking about how there's that database that we keep talking about, and how you can access it. But it's not in the sense of like, oh, I can access all the infinite knowledge of everything that's happened. It's more about, I can access exactly what is the best next step for evolution at any point in time. When anything happens, when any type of conflict comes, or when you you have to make a decision that you don't quite know the answer, you can find that answer, the perfect answer. It's there for you. But the trick is that it's not the brain that's going to get that for you. Sure, the brain's going to translate the message so you can understand it, and obviously the brain is going to store the memory so you can recall it. But it's not... You should never be straining your brain to think of something, to solve something, because generally what a mind, as we've discussed, the mind works on conditioned responses. It runs through its memories, all its experiences, perhaps there's some genetics as well, weighs up the pros and cons, and says, this is the answer. So when it's something that's like very uncharted, it's probably just going to go kind of crazy and go, oh, I don't know, we could do this, or we could do that, especially when it's a high anxiety type of place. Something that's really demanding, or just a very intense energy. The brain can get quite frantic, and you're never going to find the right answer. Sometimes you might get lucky, you might get a answer. It's probably not going to be the best answer in the world. But unless your brain has been through this thing time and time again, and the conditioned response is more of like a muscle memory thing, which is fine. Generally, with most circumstances, they're a little bit different each time. Sometimes they're very different, and you don't want to rely on the brain because it's just gonna spit out what it wants. And again, so what do you do? As we talked about, it's less about intellect, it's about emotion, because that's where the energy is, that's where the spirit that powers life exists. Some people call it intuition, some people call it gut. It's the same thing. But we just say emotion. So it's not about going, what's the answer? Think. It's about feel. Stop trying to force it. Just go, what about that path? How does that feel? What about this path? How does that feel? And just do it. The calmer you can make your energy, the calmer you can make your mind, that's where you're going to find this. Because instead of squeezing, that's how you open the bridge of receivings, right? That's how the ideas come. You go, I'm open to that. Let the ideas come from the universe. They're not going to come from me. Come on, plant them in there. And there's many ways that you can achieve this similar, but it's about finding what works for you. Meditation is probably the most widely spoken about one, and I think that's great, and I think that's worth exploring. But some people don't really enjoy meditation, and they struggle with it. But you still have your places where you find your thoughts come better. Showering, going for a drive, going through a jog through nature. These types of things, maybe drawing, painting, doing a crossword puzzle. Find where it is that the best ideas come to you. Almost all the Janthopoyism scripture, by the way, was written while I was running. That's how it works for me. I go for a run, and the ideas start going, I'm not even thinking about it. And it's like, how about this? I'm like, come on, man, please. I have to keep stopping and writing stuff on my phone. Pretty much all of it was written that way. Now, there's, brainstorming, that's another one, and that's one that we actually try to talk about a little bit deeper. Putting pen to paper is one of the best, because when the brain's trying to think of stuff, it's also trying to retain the information, and it's bouncing back all these things, and a huge part of Janthopoism is getting stuff out of the brain. So a good idea is just write it down. What is your problems? Write it down, and then even start writing other stuff that has nothing to do with anything. Start drawing a picture. Just let all the information flow. Get it all out. It gets the brain away from it, so the path, the bridge of receivings, opens up. We legitimately suggest that what you do is you get the information in your mind, the problem in your mind, and then try to forget about it and revisit it later. We talk about a magical filing cabinet in the brain. It's like taking this problem, this thing you have to solve, mentally making a piece of paper, putting it in the cabinet, shutting the drawer, and keep going on with your life. Every now and again you'll go, I need to check that drawer. Look at the drawer, look at the hypothetical paper. Maybe nothing's changed. But often there'll be new stuff there. From nowhere. It's not like you've been actively thinking about the problem. It's that just by turning it off, turning away from it, doing other stuff, and then checking on it again, there's suddenly new information there. Oh, okay, no, I didn't try that, or didn't think of that. And then you go, well, how does that feel? I don't know, that feels okay, but I'm unsure. I put it back in the drawer, close it, and keep going. But then, if you get the feeling like, yes, no, that feels good. It's like, yes, can we take action? Yes, let's do that. Let's do that one. The best thinking happens outside the brain. That's a huge part of what we're trying to teach here. The brain is just conditions. But if you can just move away from the problems and base it all on emotional response, new information is going to come in. It's like planting a seed. Plant a seed and then put water on it and then dig it up and look at it and then put fertilizer and water it again. It's going to kill it. You got to just put the seed in, put a little bit of water, leave it alone. Come back every now and again, a little bit of water. Has anything happened? Eventually something's going to sprout. It wasn't you that did that. It's nature. So the key word here is patience. Conflict rushes into you down your bridge of receivings, interrupts your life, and you're going to want to act. Your brain's going to go, we need to do this. Stop. Wait. The longer you can take, the better. Because that's when the conditioned responses will quieten down and you can get new ideas. You're not avoiding it, and you're not like overthinking it and becoming more and more indecisive. You're just going, I will not take immediate action. I'm going to put the thing in my brain, and then I'm going to leave it and go somewhere else. It's like sleeping on it. It's the most. That's such a cliche because it works. People say, oh, I'm going to sleep on it. That's not because your brain needs time to kind of boot up and stuff. It's because concentrating on the problem is just going to put more tangles in it. But if you just leave it alone, and sleeping on it quite literally is great, and then you wake up and there's going to be new ideas there because your brain's had time and to let go, reorganize. New ideas can come in. It's just keeping the noise, shushing the noise, and then a solution quite literally feels like it appears out of nowhere. Effortless action, that's what we're talking about. That's Taoism. But yes, of course, yeah, so you can't always just sleep on it. Very aware of that. So again, the main thing is just you got to play with it, you got to stay calm, you've got to just follow the good feelings. Again, write it down, doodle it, draw it, type it on your computer as well, and eventually you're gonna find you're gonna start going, that one felt a bit nicer. Okay, what is that? Let's explore that idea. Play with that idea. So you can do it quite fast, even though we're talking about patience. You can do patience in fast motion, which sounds like a contradiction, but it's not. One that really works for me, and I put it in the scripture, but I'm not sure if it applies to everyone else, but I do this all the time. And I just go, okay, I'm stuck, I don't know what to do here. And then I imagine, what if I could ask the greatest expert in this field? What would their answer be? Because they would have the best answer, right? So what would their answer be? So I play with it that way. I kind of delegate it to an imaginary figure. What would they say? Kind of keeps the calm, kind of keeps it fun, and it also gives you that sense of like, well, the best answer is definitely out there. It's somewhere. I've just got to let it come to me. My brain has to kind of just allow it. Stress free. And that really helps me. I don't know if that helps anyone else. But yeah, the more you exercise this type of pause, feel it out, maybe turn away from it, come back to it, play with it. Don't let the brain get too intense onto it. The more you train the brain for that to be the automated response. It's all about conditions, making your own conditions, calling the shots, and eventually the brain will latch on. So that's what Janthopoyism is about, trying to appeal to the brain, to listen to the brain, to teach the brain itself how to reprogram itself for the benefit of the overall system, because the brain wants what's best, but it's a little bit confused, and it knows this. You know your brain is like whack. Everyone's brain is like... Chapter 3.4: Asserting Dominance over your Bridge of Receivings. This chapter is huge. Constantly, as the scripture goes on, we refer to this chapter. That's because this is it. Now we're really talking the important stuff, okay? So, remember we talked about life being a film? Now say you watch, let's talk about a real film. So you go to the cinema with your mates, and say you're a scriptwriter and your mate's a makeup artist or an actor or whatever. You're both going to be watching this film. It's going to be the same film, but you're going to be placing your focus on different things. That's why two people can leave a film, and the one can say, that was the best film I ever saw. That performance by that leading actress was her best work. And the other film, like, what are you talking about? That was the worst dialogue I've ever heard in my life. They saw the same movie, but their perception was different. And someone else can say, did you see those costumes or that lighting? It was crazy. And someone else will say, oh, that film was a plagiarism of a different film that came out 10 years ago. Same film, different perspectives. And that's just a little kind of two-dimensional 2-hour worth of time. We're talking now about the universe, right? But it works exactly the same. Now, have you ever bought a car, or your parents bought a car, or a friend bought a car, and you're driving down the road in this car, and suddenly you notice this car is everywhere. Other people have this car, you've never noticed it before. But now, suddenly, there it is. Why? Did those cars suddenly just appear? Of course not. You just weren't receptive to them. It's like if you're walking down the street and you pass a shop that's playing your favorite song. You're going to hear it before anyone else hears it. If I'm walking down the street and someone goes, Jared, I'm going to hear that long before you hear that, because I'm tuned into my own name. There's countless examples of this. You know them. You'll walk down the street and you'll notice something for sale that you wanted. If you're really into shoes, you'll notice shoes. If you're really into football, you'll notice there's a football thing. If someone's not into that, they're not going to see it. That's because of what's known as, I'm going to say this wrong, the Baader-Meinhof phenomenon, otherwise known as the frequency illusion or frequency bias. Now, so this is completely studied, and this is not me making this up. But there's many different ways to kind of explain what's going on. If you're more scientific and logical in your way of thinking, then it's very obvious how this works. There's an external stimuli bombarding the mind every millisecond of your life. Even right now, there are so many things smashing into you. Lights, colors, sounds, everything. That your brain will never, if your brain took everything in, it would just explode. It doesn't have the RAM. So what it does as a coping mechanism that we all have is that it only picks up the stuff that it believes is essential, stuff that interests it, stuff that's been taught, and the rest of it just gets blocked out. Then on the other side of the spectrum, you get the more magical law of attraction. What you focus on actually manifests into your reality. This kind of source code brings it to you. It wasn't there, and then it does come to you, churning the brain waves into physical matter. It doesn't matter which one of those things you believe. That's the beauty of Janthopoyism. Go magical, go scientific. You can argue about that for as long as you want. But it doesn't matter, because the consequences remain the same. It's irrelevant how it works. The point is that it works. Think and focus on things. Your reality reflects it. It's exactly how advertising works. They're trying to shove things on your radar so that when you go into the shop, that's what you notice. Say you love Coca-Cola. You walk into the shop, you're looking for Coca-Cola. You find Coca-Cola, you pick up Coca-Cola, you buy the Coca-Cola. You walk outside, your friend says, did they have Pepsi? You say, I don't know. You walk back inside, the Pepsi was right next to the Coca-Cola, but you didn't see the Pepsi, did you? Because you were tuned into the Coca-Cola, but your friend would have seen the Pepsi. because the advertising works on that basis. Right. So what is it? Why am I telling you this? Well, there's a part of the brain called the reticular activating system. I believe that it's kind of where your spine and your brain connect. It's neurons that are responsible for perceiving the world. Now, Janthopoyism, we like to personify things, because it's easier to grasp and it makes it more fun, and we that's the whole point. We call this your gatekeeper, and we will refer to it as such moving forward. It's like this figure, a god who stands on your bridge of receivings, and will only allow things to pass who's on the list. So even when something horrible, and you notice something horrible, the only reason why you're noticing it is because you've said it's okay. Obviously, this happens on a subconscious level, but everything that comes into your mind is because you said it's okay. I want more of that because I've been focusing on that, because I've been thinking about that. And the gatekeeper goes, I hear you. I hear my training. I let that in, I let that in, I let that in. Everything else, I don't even report to you that they were here. They get bounced. Once you start to understand this, that this is not an airy-fairy gatekeeper that we're talking about. This is a biological defense mechanism that's ingrained in us. Once you realize this, you go, well, can't I train it? Obviously, that's exactly what we're talking about. You're going to train the gatekeeper. So how do you do that? Well, first of all, it goes back to what we were talking about with the true path. There's stuff that encourages a mass amount of inspiration and passion in you. And that's your true path. That's why it feels that way. It feels amazing. It feels good. You feel pulled towards it. You feel like you want to speed that way. Take that and flood your environment with it. You need to read text on it. You need to watch films on it. You need to books, attend seminars, try to find people who are in that kind of lifestyle and converse with them. Put pictures on your walls. Write about it. That's all you want. And the more you do that, the more you're going to notice it in your reality. And the more things are going to happen where you go, there it is, there it is, there it is, follow that, follow that, follow that. Faster and faster and faster and faster. Because the gatekeeper is going to be saying, I hear you, I hear you, I hear you. I'm looking for that, I'm looking for that, I'm looking for that, I'm looking for that. Whatever you look at in your life is training the gatekeeper. So whatever you click on, whatever you talk about, whatever you write about, speak about, converse about, whatever you do, before you do it, ask yourself, is this what I want more of? Because you're going to get it. Now, here comes the inevitable, that sounds like ignorance is bliss. Well, here's the thing. Life has infinite amounts of components. And there are so many, it's all valid parts of reality. There are horrible things in the world, but there are beautiful things in the world too, and they are both as valid. The media, including the less mainstream media, have found great success in scaring us. That's how they get you. That's how they get money from you. That's how they get your clicks. Is by showing you the horrible stuff. And to say that's reality. Reality's horrible. It's like, no, you're trusting other people to tell you what reality is, and you're focusing on that, and it's going to get bigger, and you're going to see more of it, and see more of it, and see more of it. You go, yeah, I told you. It's self-fulfilling perception. But to turn rather and look at people that are doing good work, look at medical professions that are saving lives, and people who are doing so much for the environment, and just general acts of compassion, which are abundant, less reported on, granted, but abundant, and they exist in certain news sources. Equally valid part of reality, but better and healthier to focus on. It's not ignorance is bliss because you are aware that there's horrible things going on and you are aware that there's beautiful things going on. But people get stuck in oh my god, the earth is so terrible and so many societies so wrong, and it's like, no, it's not. It's because you're reading those headlines and clicking on those headlines and you've got yourself in this rut. Whereas you can just as easily go, I'm aware that that exists. I'm not being ignorant to it, but I'm choosing to really look at the beautiful side of it. Because not only does that give me a better feeling, but it allows me to assist that side of the world, and that side grows bigger in my reality, and I become a part of the solution rather than a problem. And to be completely honest with you, ignorance is bliss. Man, I'm telling you, bliss is what we're trying to get. You have one life. If you can't solve the war between nations, sitting there and thinking about it and worrying about it and feeling horrible about it doesn't do anything. If you can take action, if you want to write a book about it, or you really feel like it's something that drives you and motivates you and you can make a positive difference, that's different. But if you're sitting there and stewing and not doing anything about it, the world's so messed up, it's like, rather just chase blissfulness, because you'll be in a better position to help those around you, and you'll be in a better position to find your true path, to lock onto that groove and fulfill your life's purpose, and ultimately do a lot for the world to the best of your ability. Feeling helpless means that you're looking at the wrong stuff. And again, the more you do this, the more you train your mind. And the more you train your mind and fine-tune to that station that resonates with your passion, the more you'll notice it growing and growing and growing, and the more it'll become automated, and the more you're going to get the ideas thrown at you, and you're just going to be exactly who you were supposed to be by designing the reality that you want, by focusing on the things that you love and the things that you're good at and the things that you can do better than anyone, and therefore contribute to the evolution in a way that no one else has the ability. That's what we're talking about here, man. Final chapter. Chapter 3.5. Your secret weapon to become the most enlightened human in the world. Tall order, hey? We're a little bit clickbaity. The last 3 chapters before this one, what's important to notice that they collaborate. And the more you think about it, you're going to notice this. Very intentional. First we're saying, okay, ideas are gifts, cosmic gifts. Okay, that's the first thing you need to know. Second thing is, okay, how do I receive them? Okay, you need to receive them by following your emotions and by not reacting on conditioned basis. Give it a moment, have a bit of patience, and then you can get better ideas to act upon. And then the last chapter was about now that you got that, start training your mind to seek the specific ideas that resonate with who you want to be. So that's great. Work those 3 together and you're just going to be like on your true path, man. These ideas are going to be fueling you, and it's all going to be something that you view as highly spiritual and highly emotionally beautiful and just the greatest feelings. And then you know. But the order of the cosmos is going to smash you with conflict. That's how it works. It has to do that. That's how it evolves. If everything just goes right all the time, you don't learn anything. You just move forward. You need to go, okay, how do I solve this? How do I solve this? How do I solve this? That's the benefit. That's how you truly benefit everything else. This is humbling, I think. That's what's kind of important about it. It's that you kind of once again recognize that this is a film, and the film will turn its attention to you, but it's so out of your control. And even when things are great and you've got all this fortune and you're so lucky, it can be taken away from you or completely disrupted, because that's how it works. You're lucky to be here as it is, and this so-called universal energy, it doesn't owe you anything. You can be the nicest person in the world and you believe you deserve good things. That doesn't mean anything. It's gonna smack you around, because it's not about you and you having a happy, comfortable life on a universal perspective. It's about you getting information, you giving information, you having experiences that are unlike any other experience, good or bad, in order for the entire universe to learn through you with your tiny contribution and evolve things further. So that's tough, a little bit tough sometimes together. So we have a little secret weapon for you, and it's infallible, and it's this: you've got to raise your vibration to what we believe is the highest level, and that is amusement. That is the secret weapon. It's amusement. You just got to find it funny. Which is interesting because, when it comes to enlightenment, you get all these different teachings, and so many of them, and I see this all the time, and it really grinds my gears, which then again proves that I should be amused by it, right? I'm learning. But these teachings, these so-called spiritual teachings that are saying you're going to find enlightenment is quite tough, and you have to suffer through it, you have to push through, and there's the shadow work, and there's darkness, and it's going to make you distressed, and you're not going to relate to people. Janthopoyism does not teach anything like that. It's the opposite. If you're feeling those feelings, that's because you're swimming upstream. You gotta let go. You gotta go, whoa, why am I feeling this intense stuff? Oh, because you're becoming enlightened. Not a chance. Enlightenment should feel beautiful. Sure, there's going to be intense times, but that's you going, whoa, I'm way off path. I need to go, let go. Let me face a better direction here. Let me slide back into this so-called downstream motion. Let go. And that, when you let go, that's beautiful. And then you can go, actually, that's hilarious. That's so funny, I was taking that so seriously. That applies to everything. Let me remind you that life and external circumstances can't cause you to suffer, try as they might. Only your mind can cause you to suffer. And the only time your mind is suffering is because it's taking life seriously. Taking life seriously is the wrong way because it's not serious. There's nothing about it that's serious. It's ridiculous and it's comical. And there's a paragraph here that I'm going to read verbatim because it kind of explains what I'm trying to say. So, next time you find yourself stressed out because someone called you a name or you ran out of coffee or whatever, remember this: you are part of an evolutionary chain without any idea of where it came from or where it is going. You were born as a lump of biological matter made from atoms, each consisting of 99% empty space. External factors out of your control nurtured you to fit into complex ecological, social, economic, and political systems that you only questioned once you were already dependent on them. You wake up every day and perform tasks without knowing why it matters or if it even does. You are on a rock spinning around in space at 1,670 kilometers per hour, lacking any certainty of how vast the universe is or if the entire experience is a construct of your own mind. You will die without ever acquiring these answers. You may pursue and even find individual meaning, but when you die, it's gone. And what comes after death is further unknown still. Everyone you've ever met and everyone you haven't will follow the same timeline until the sun swallows the earth and the planet burns to dust with no consequence to the bigger picture, and every physical trace of your specific existence will evaporate into nothingness as if it was never there. It's absurd. So that kind of, first of all, really gets rid of anything where you start going, I don't like my job, or Sally called me a poo-poo face. Yeah, but think about that in a bit of a bigger picture. Now, of course, that's some people go, yeah, okay, I get it, but now I'm actually terrified because that's quite scary, and you've kind of given me an existential crisis. Now, okay, and that's something we will also look into later, book 5. But what you really got to think about is just look at where you are. Just that feeling of being overwhelmed, or even the feeling of anything, is a triumph of evolution. To be able to have an awareness of it, to be like, oh my god, I feel this way. I'm contemplating the universe as a single organism, and I'm seeing myself as this tiny speck. That's, you know how crazy that is, that we've evolved to that point of awareness. If that's a miracle. That is a gift and a miracle and a blessing. And even if you don't believe in a sort of kind of massive spiritual energy, the coincidental randomness of you being here, the statistics of it, you can't even fathom it. And I know it's not easy, but you got to be like, wow, I'm on the cutting edge of evolution and still expanding it. And to be on the front line of this, and to know that we're on the front line of it, it's like so crazy. Even the good and the bad, it's like to be able to know that and go, wow, look at that. It's happening so fast and it's so nuts, and we are a part of it. And one day you won't be a part of it anymore. So it's like, it's just amazing right now to be part of this conversation and this perception. And if you can really start to go, that is amazing, and then it's easy to go, that's beautiful. And from that beautiful kind of becomes this other awareness of like, wow, yeah, that's cool. And then you can start playing with it's really crazy and absurd. It's just silly, and then that's when it starts to become amusing. And that's when you've reached a point of water where nothing can hit you, because you would just be like, oh my gosh, okay, I got to deal with this now. It's ludicrous, but I have to take this call, or I have to go to the hospital. you can always get to that place. And really, the idea is to view that as divine order. The universe has come to you, and it's interested in your stance and your answer to a problem that you will answer in a way that's never been answered before and will benefit the evolution forever. It is a beautiful thing. It's playing a game with you. It's asking you these questions, and as soon as you can be like, oh my god, that's amazing, that's hilarious, I can't believe it, that's when book 3 is done for you. Janthopoyism as a name is a mix of pantheism and joy, because joy is the thriving emotion. It's the high energy vibration that moves extremely fast. You know this. If you're feeling depressed and miserable, it's hard to do stuff. But when you're feeling excited and joyous and inspired and amused, it's this kind of really up vibe, and you can get things done, and you do things with the right high quality energy, and the production of it is like, yeah, the end result is like, yeah. And that's why we say that's the correct setting. Of course there's miserable stuff in the world, but if you focus on that, your energy goes down, and your productivity goes down, and the result of it goes down. And the thing is, the universe is going to keep hitting you with this conflict, and you're going to be, you're not going to have the power to fight it back, and you're going, why is the world so hard? But if you can just go, that's so funny, oh my god, I can't believe that's happened to me. Like, just if you take it till you make it, something bad happens, if you can get a laugh, first and foremost, you're starting to set your energy higher. You're automating your response, and then you're going to be like, alright, let's go, let's do this. Okay, didn't expect that. Crazy move, universe. I see your shot. Okay, let me see. How am I going to play this? Funny, light-hearted, high energy, and you're gonna be able to move with it faster. You're gonna revolve faster, and you're gonna, in theory, earn the reputation of someone who gets things done. and then better conflicts are going to be sent your way, and you're going to be sliding down your true path so fast that your benefit to the overall evolution is going to be vast and unique and just brilliant, and you're going to love every second of it. That's all Janthopoyism is. That's it. Having the best time doing what you love doing. There's not even any point of saying anything else. I don't know, that's all it should say. That's all it is. Just make sure you're having the best time doing what you love. And then that's it. Of course, we've got to unpick all that conditioning, so that's what this is about. And that, my friends, is book 3. Very difficult to articulate this stuff, I find, and I didn't think I got everything right. I'm also in a noisy hotel, but I am also in Egypt, in Cairo. I'm like a kilometer away from the pyramids as we speak. The pyramids and the Sphinx, I was there yesterday walking around them. Proper magical energy there, I'll tell you that. Whether you believe in that or not, there's a history there that's beyond our contemplation, and I really did feel that, and I think it's nice to be recording this in a place of such high mythological beauty and history that kind of predates almost everything that we have. So hey man, not a bad place to be talking to you about this stuff. But so yeah, that's it for this. Book 4, the ritual offerings, will be next. I'm sure you can understand that it's the reverse. It's instead of going, okay, this stuff is coming in, this stuff, how to evaluate that, and how to change your perception of that, and how to train your mind with the stuff coming in. Now it's more exciting. Now it's much more applicable, a lot more in your control. It's the internal version of the bridges. It's saying, okay, what do I put out there? What am I putting out there? How do I control what I put out there? How do I deal with life? How do I get what I want by behaving in a certain manner? And yeah, we cover prayer, law of attraction, free will, and just a lot of it's about the communication between yourself and other human beings is a huge important part of that, and also just about the emotions and how to proper follow that correctly. So that's fun, and I'm excited, and I hope you're excited. And that will hopefully be with you very soon. So lots of love to you, and I hope you're having a fabulous day. Thank you for coming to my Jared.